Listen. This message is for you. The one who feels tired. The one who feels stuck. The one who feels like no matter how hard you try, life just keeps getting harder. You've been strong for so long. You've been fighting battles that nobody knows about. Smiling in front of people. But breaking inside. And now you're at a point where you're asking yourself, is it even worth it anymore? Why do I keep trying? Why does nothing seem to work for me? Let me stop you right there. Backhand index pointing right, because this moment, this exact moment, is not the end. It feels like it. It looks like it. But it's not. This is the moment where most people give up. This is the moment where dreams are abandoned. This is the moment where people decide, I can't do this anymore. But what if I told you? Backhand index pointing right, this is also the moment where everything can change. Cloud with rain, you're not alone in this. You might feel like you're the only one going through this kind of struggle. Like nobody understands your pain. Like nobody sees your effort. But the truth is, every strong person you admire, every successful person you look up to, every person who made it, backhand index pointing right, they stood exactly where you are standing right now. Confused. Tired. Doubting themselves. The difference? They didn't stop. Broken heart, the silent struggles nobody talks about. People will see your success one day. But they will never fully understand your struggle. They won't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep. The times you felt completely lost. The moments you wanted to quit but didn't. Because struggle is silent. It happens behind the scenes. It happens when no one is watching. And because no one sees it. Backhand index pointing right, you start thinking it doesn't matter. But it does. It matters more than anything. Brain, why this pain feels so heavy? Let's be honest. This isn't just physical exhaustion. This is mental. Emotional. It's the weight of expectations. The pressure to succeed. The fear of failure. It's waking up every day with uncertainty. It's trying your best, and still feeling like it's not enough. And that pain? Backhand index pointing right, it's real. But it's also meaningful. Because pain only shows up when something matters. Fire, you are closer than you think. Right now, it feels like you're far away from your goals. Like nothing is working. Like you're going in circles. But here's what you don't see. Backhand index pointing right, you are closer than you think. Growth is happening beneath the surface. Just like a seed underground. You don't see anything at first. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Something is growing. Something is building. Something is preparing to break through. Seedling, the breaking point is the turning point. Most people think breaking point means the end. But it doesn't. Backhand index pointing right, breaking point is where transformation begins. It's where the old version of you starts to fall apart. So the stronger version of you can rise. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's necessary. Because you cannot become who you're meant to be without letting go of who you used to be. Flexed biceps, you've survived 100% of your bad days. Think about that. Every bad day you've had. Every moment you thought you wouldn't make it. Every time life knocked you down. Backhand index pointing right, you're still here. You made it through. And that means something. That means you're stronger than you think. That means you have resilience inside you. That means you are not weak. High voltage, what if you don't quit this time? Ask yourself this. What if this time, you don't quit? What if this time, you push a little harder? What if this time, you keep going even when it hurts? Because maybe. Backhand index pointing right, the life you want is just on the other side of this struggle. So if you're tired, Rest, but don't quit. If you're frustrated, pause, but don't give up. If you're doubting yourself, breathe, but keep moving forward. Because this moment, backhand index pointing right, this painful, confusing, exhausting moment, is not a waste. It's the beginning of something powerful. Listen closely. Because what I'm about to tell you, most people will never understand. And that's exactly why most people never reach their full potential. Globe showing Europe, Africa, the world shows you a lie. Everywhere you look today, you see success. You see people winning. People achieving. People living the life you want. Social media shows you the highlights. The best moments, the biggest wins, the perfect lifestyles. But what it doesn't show you is the truth. Backhand index pointing right, it doesn't show the struggle behind the success. It doesn't show the years of failure. The rejection. The doubt. The sacrifices. And because of that, you start believing something dangerous. You start believing that success is supposed to be easy. Crossmark the dangerous expectation. You think, if I work hard, it should happen quickly. If I'm doing the right thing, it shouldn't feel this hard. If I'm struggling, maybe I'm not meant for this. But that mindset? Backhand index pointing right, it's the reason people quit too early. Because when reality hits, when things get hard, when progress is slow, they think something is wrong. Fire the reality nobody talks about. Here's the truth. Backhand index pointing right, success is supposed to be hard. Not because life is unfair, but because growth requires resistance. Think about it. If everything was easy, you wouldn't grow. If everything came quickly, you wouldn't value it. If there were no challenges, you wouldn't become stronger. Light bulb struggle is the training ground. Every struggle you face is training you. Training your mind. Training your discipline. Training your patience. It's preparing you for a level of life that requires more from you. Because success is not just about achieving something. Backhand index pointing right, it's about becoming someone who can handle it. Brain, why struggle feels like failure. Let's be honest. When you're in the middle of a struggle, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like failure. It feels like nothing is working. It feels like you're stuck. And that's because backhand index pointing right, growth is uncomfortable. It challenges your beliefs. It pushes your limits. It forces you out of your comfort zone. And your mind? It resists that. High voltage comfort versus growth. There are two paths in life. Comfort. Growth. Comfort feels safe. But it keeps you stuck. Growth feels painful. But it moves you forward. And here's the truth most people avoid. Backhand index pointing right, you cannot have both at the same time. If you choose comfort, you avoid struggle, but you also avoid progress. If you choose growth, you face struggle, but you move closer to your goals. Broken heart, the price of becoming better. Becoming a better version of yourself has a cost. It costs time. It costs energy. It costs comfort. Sometimes it even costs relationships. Because not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your growth. And that's okay. Backhand index pointing right, not everyone is meant to come with you to the next level. Fire, why most people stay stuck. Most people don't fail because they can't succeed. They fail because they choose comfort over growth. They avoid discomfort. They avoid risk. They avoid failure. And in doing so, backhand index pointing right, they also avoid their potential. Seedling, you're different. But you're still here. Still listening. Still trying. Still searching for a way forward. And that means something. That means you're not like most people. That means you're willing to go through the struggle. And that alone. Backhand index pointing right puts you ahead. Rocket the turning point. There comes a moment in life where you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, backhand index pointing right, what is this teaching me? That moment changes everything. Because now, you're no longer a victim of your struggle. Backhand index pointing right, you become a student of it. Compass, every struggle has a lesson. Your struggles are not random. They are specific. They are targeted. They are designed to teach you something. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's self-belief. Maybe it's resilience. But whatever it is, backhand index pointing right, you need it for the next level of your life. Glowing star closing of part 2. So the next time you feel like you're struggling, don't see it as failure. Don't see it as a sign to quit. See it for what it really is. Backhand index pointing right, proof that you are growing. Backhand index pointing right, proof that you are evolving. Backhand index pointing right, proof that you are on the path, even if it's hard. Because the truth is, your struggles are not stopping you. Backhand index pointing right, they are preparing you. Listen. Because this part is important. Maybe the most important part of your entire journey. Because if you can understand this, backhand index pointing right, you will never look at your struggles the same way again. Broken heart pain feels pointless. But it's not. Let's be honest. Pain doesn't feel meaningful when you're in it. It doesn't feel like growth. It doesn't feel like progress. It doesn't feel like something good is coming. It feels heavy. It feels unfair. It feels like something you want to escape from. And that's natural. Because pain is uncomfortable. But just because something is uncomfortable, backhand index pointing right, doesn't mean it's useless. Cloud with rain, every kind of pain teaches you something. Think about the struggles you've already been through. The heartbreaks. The failures. The disappointments. The moments where everything went wrong. At the time, they felt like the worst things in the world. But now, look at what they taught you. They taught you who to trust. They taught you what matters. They taught you how strong you really are. And most importantly, backhand index pointing right, they changed you. Brain pain forces you to grow. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. It happens when something forces you to change. And pain? Backhand index pointing right, pain is that force. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. It forces you to think differently. It challenges the person you used to be. And even though it hurts, backhand index pointing right, it's making you better. Fire, the pain you feel today builds the strength you need tomorrow. Right now, you might feel like you're just suffering. Like nothing good is coming from this. But what you don't see is this. Backhand index pointing right, every moment of pain is building strength inside you. Strength you don't even realize yet. Strength that will help you face bigger challenges. Strength that will help you handle success when it comes. Because life doesn't just give you what you want. Backhand index pointing right, it prepares you for it. Light bulb, there is no strength without struggle. Imagine a life with no problems. No challenges. No failures. No pressure. Sounds good, right? But think deeper. Backhand index pointing right, what kind of person would you become? Weak. Unprepared. Unable to handle real life. Because strength only comes from resistance. Just like muscles grow when they're stressed. Backhand index pointing right, your character grows when it's tested. High voltage pain reveals the truth. Pain has a way of showing you things clearly. It reveals who truly cares about you, what truly matters in your life, what you're truly capable of. When everything is going well, you don't question much. But when things fall apart, backhand index pointing right, you see everything for what it really is. And that clarity? It's powerful. Broken heart, some pain changes your direction. Sometimes pain isn't just about making you stronger. Sometimes backhand index pointing right, it's about redirecting your life. You lose something so you can find something better. You go through failure so you can discover a new path. You face rejection so you don't settle for something that wasn't right for you. At the time, it hurts. But later, backhand index pointing right, it makes sense. New moon, the hardest lessons come through pain. The most valuable lessons in life are not learned in comfort. They are learned in struggle. Because when something hurts, you remember it. You grow from it. You become wiser because of it. And that wisdom, backhand index pointing right, it stays with you forever. Rocket, your pain is not wasted. Right now, you might feel like everything you're going through is pointless. Like all this pain has no meaning. But that's not true. Backhand index pointing right, nothing you go through is wasted. Every experience adds something to you. Every struggle builds something inside you. Every painful moment is shaping your future. Even if you don't understand it yet. Fire, turn pain into power. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, backhand index pointing right, how can this make me stronger? Backhand index pointing right, what can I learn from this? Backhand index pointing right, how can I use this to grow? Because when you change your perspective, backhand index pointing right, your pain becomes your power. Glowing star, closing of part 3. So remember this. Pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It's your trainer. It's your guide. And everything you're going through right now, backhand index pointing right, is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more powerful. So don't run from it. Don't hate it. Backhand index pointing right, use it. Because your pain, backhand index pointing right, has a purpose. Listen carefully. Because this is the question that lives in your mind. Backhand index pointing right, why me? Backhand index pointing right, why did I have to go through this? Backhand index pointing right, why did it have to be so hard? And if you're being honest, there are moments where it feels like life is picking on you. Like no matter what you do, something always goes wrong. Something always falls apart. Something always tests you. But what if I told you something different? Backhand index pointing right, you didn't go through this by accident. Globe showing Europe, Africa, there is a reason behind your struggle. Not everything in life makes sense immediately. Some things only make sense later. Much later. When you look back and connect the dots. Right now, you're in the middle of the story. And when you're in the middle, backhand index pointing right, you can't see the full picture. Brain, you were chosen for this level. Think about this. Not everyone is given the same challenges. Not everyone is tested in the same way. Because not everyone is built for the same level. Backhand index pointing right, your struggles match your potential. The greater the potential, the greater the pressure. The greater the challenge, the greater the transformation. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, backhand index pointing right, what kind of person is this turning me into? Fire, this is shaping your character. Success is not just about what you achieve. It's about who you become. Because without the right mindset, without discipline, Without emotional strength, backhand index pointing right success won't last. And that's why your journey is hard. Because it's not just building your results. Backhand index pointing right, it's building your character. Broken heart, you had to experience this. Some lessons you cannot learn by listening. You can only learn by going through them. You had to feel the pain. You had to experience the struggle. You had to face those difficult moments. Because that's the only way. Backhand index pointing right, you would truly understand. Cloud with rain, the things that broke you also built you. Think about the hardest moments of your life. The times you thought you wouldn't recover. The times you felt completely lost. The times something inside you broke. At the time, it felt like the end. But look at you now. Backhand index pointing right, you survived. Backhand index pointing right, you learned. Backhand index pointing right, you grew. And in some way, backhand index pointing right, you became stronger because of it. High voltage, you are not the same person anymore. Because of what you've been through. You see things differently now. You think differently now. You handle situations differently now. That struggle changed you. Not in a bad way. Backhand index pointing right, in a powerful way. You're more aware. More resilient. More prepared. And that version of you? Backhand index pointing right is exactly who you needed to become. Compass, this is preparing you for something bigger. You might not see it yet. But what you're going through right now. Backhand index pointing right is preparing you for something greater. A bigger opportunity. A bigger responsibility. A bigger life. Because the life you want requires a stronger version of you. And that's what this process is doing. Light bulb, if it didn't happen, you wouldn't grow. Imagine if everything went perfectly in your life. No failures. No heartbreak. No struggles. Would you grow? Would you change? Would you become stronger? No. Backhand index pointing right, you would stay the same. And staying the same. Backhand index pointing right means staying stuck. Fire, everything is part of your story. Your struggles. Your failures. Your pain. They are not separate from your journey. Backhand index pointing right, they are your journey. One day, you're going to tell your story. And it won't just be about success. It will be about everything you went through to get there. And that's what will make it powerful. Rocket, you're being prepared, not punished. This is the shift you need to make. Stop seeing your struggles as punishment. Start seeing them as preparation. Because that's what they are. Backhand index pointing right, preparation for the life you're meant to live. Glowing star, closing of part 4. So the next time you ask, why did I have to go through this? Remember this. Backhand index pointing right, you went through it to grow. Backhand index pointing right, you went through it to learn. Backhand index pointing right, you went through it to become stronger. And most importantly, backhand index pointing right, you went through it because your future requires it. Listen. Because this is the part most people miss. This is the moment that separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. High voltage change doesn't start outside. It starts inside. Most people are waiting for something external to change. They think. Backhand index pointing right, when my situation improves, I'll feel better. Backhand index pointing right, when I succeed, I'll become confident. Backhand index pointing right, when things get easier, I'll keep going. But that's backwards. Backhand index pointing right, everything changes the moment you change. Not your environment. Not your circumstances. Not your luck. Backhand index pointing right, your mindset. Brain, the shift that changes everything. There comes a moment. A quiet, powerful moment. Where you stop seeing yourself as a victim. And you start seeing yourself as someone in control. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start saying, backhand index pointing right, "I will figure this out." Backhand index pointing right, "I will grow through this." Backhand index pointing right, "I will not let this break me." That shift. Backhand index pointing right, that's where your life starts to change. Fire, you stop waiting. And start acting. Before the shift. You wait. You wait for motivation. You wait for the right time. You wait for things to feel easier. But after the shift, backhand index pointing right, you move anyway. Even when it's hard. Even when you're tired. Even when you don't feel ready. Because you understand something powerful. Backhand index pointing right action creates progress, not waiting. Broken heart, you accept the pain, but you don't let it control you. Pain doesn't disappear. Struggles don't magically go away. But something inside you changes. You stop running from the pain. Backhand index pointing right, you face it. You stop letting it control your decisions. Backhand index pointing right, you rise above it. Because now you know. Backhand index pointing right, pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent. Seedling, you start growing on purpose. Before, you were going through life reacting to everything. Now, backhand index pointing right, you start growing intentionally. You work on your mindset. You build discipline. You focus on your goals. You stop blaming. And you start building. Rocket small wins become your power. At first, nothing big changes. No massive success. No sudden breakthrough. But something important happens. Backhand index pointing right, you start winning small. You wake up when you said you would. You complete what you started. You stay consistent. And those small wins? Backhand index pointing right, they build confidence. They build momentum. They build belief. High voltage confidence comes from action. Most people think confidence comes first. But it doesn't. Backhand index pointing right, confidence comes after you take action. After you try. After you fail. After you keep going anyway. Every time you push forward. You prove something to yourself. Backhand index pointing right, "I can do this." Fire, you become unstoppable mentally. This is where everything truly changes. Not outside. Backhand index pointing right, inside. You become stronger mentally. You don't break as easily. You don't quit as quickly. You don't doubt yourself as much. Because now you've seen what you can handle. And you realize. Backhand index pointing right, you're stronger than you thought. Light bulb, you stop comparing yourself to others. Before, you were looking at everyone else. Their success. Their progress. Their life. And it made you feel behind. But now? Backhand index pointing right, you focus on your journey. Because you understand. Everyone has a different path. Everyone has a different timeline. And your only competition is. Backhand index pointing right, who you were yesterday. Glowing star, you start believing again. This is the most important part. At some point, you lost belief. Belief in yourself. Belief in your future. Belief that things could change. But now? Backhand index pointing right, it starts coming back. Slowly. But powerfully. And once belief returns. Backhand index pointing right, everything becomes possible again. Fire, closing of part 5. So understand this. Your life doesn't change overnight. But it does change the moment. Backhand index pointing right, you decide not to quit. Backhand index pointing right, you decide to keep going. Backhand index pointing right, you decide to believe again. Because that decision? Backhand index pointing right, that's the turning point. Listen carefully. Because this right here. Backhand index pointing right, this is where most people lose. Not because they're weak. Not because they're incapable. Not because they don't have dreams. But because backhand index pointing right, they quit too soon. Broken heart quitting doesn't happen all at once. Nobody wakes up one day and suddenly says, "I'm done forever." No. Quitting is slow. It happens in moments. Small decisions. Small doubts. Small excuses. It starts when things get hard. And instead of pushing forward, backhand index pointing right, you step back. High voltage, the breaking point. There comes a moment where everything feels overwhelming. Where your effort feels pointless. Where your progress feels invisible. And your mind starts telling you, backhand index pointing right, this isn't working. Backhand index pointing right, maybe this isn't for you. Backhand index pointing right, maybe you should just stop. That moment? Backhand index pointing right, that's the test. Brain, your mind is trying to protect you. Understand this. Your mind doesn't always want you to succeed. Backhand index pointing right, it wants you to be safe. And growth is uncomfortable, uncertain, risky. So your mind tries to pull you back into comfort. It tells you to quit. Not because you can't succeed. Backhand index pointing right, but because it's afraid of the struggle. Fire, why most people give in. Most people listen to that voice. They choose comfort. They avoid pain. They step away from the challenge. And in that moment, backhand index pointing right, they lose their opportunity. Not because they failed. Backhand index pointing right, but because they stopped trying. Light bulb, the truth about success. Success doesn't belong to the smartest. It doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to those who, backhand index pointing right, refuse to quit. Those who keep going when it's hard. Those who stay when others leave. Those who push forward when nothing is working. Cloud with rain, the difference between you and them. You will feel the same pain. The same doubt. The same frustration. The same fear. The difference is, backhand index pointing right, you won't stop. You will feel it. But you won't give in to it. Rocket, how you don't quit. So how do you become that person? How do you keep going when everything inside you wants to stop? It starts with this. Small blue diamond 1. You accept that it will be hard. Stop expecting it to be easy. Stop expecting quick results. Stop expecting constant motivation. Backhand index pointing right, expect difficulty. Because when you expect it, you're not surprised by it. Small blue diamond 2. You focus on discipline, not motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel strong. Some days you don't. But discipline? Backhand index pointing right, discipline stays. You show up even when you don't feel like it. You work even when it's hard. You move forward no matter what. Small blue diamond 3. You remember why you started. In your hardest moments. Go back to your reason. Why did you begin? What do you want to change? What kind of life are you trying to build? Backhand index pointing right, that reason will keep you going. Small blue diamond 4. You break it down. Sometimes the journey feels too big. Too overwhelming. Too far away. So don't think about everything. Backhand index pointing right, focus on the next step. Just one step. Then another. Then another. Small blue diamond 5. You refuse to let temporary pain stop permanent progress. Pain is temporary. Struggle is temporary. But quitting? Backhand index pointing right, that can last forever. So remind yourself. Backhand index pointing right, this is just a moment, not my whole life. High voltage, you become mentally stronger every time you don't quit. Every time you keep going. Even when it's hard. You build something powerful inside you. Backhand index pointing right, mental strength. And once you have that, nothing can stop you. Fire, you're closer than the moment you want to quit. Here's something most people don't realize. Backhand index pointing right, the moment you feel like quitting, is often the moment you're closest to a breakthrough. But because they quit, they never see it. Glowing star, closing of part 6. So when that voice tells you to stop, when everything feels heavy, when quitting feels easier, remember this. Backhand index pointing right, most people will quit here. Backhand index pointing right, but you won't. Because your struggles are not a sign to stop. Backhand index pointing right, they are a reason to keep going. Listen. Because this is the part where everything starts to make sense. Not immediately. Not instantly. But eventually. New moon, the moment before the breakthrough. There's a moment in every journey where it feels like nothing is working. Where effort feels invisible. Where progress feels non-existent. Where you question everything. And it's in that moment, backhand index pointing right, that most people walk away. They think, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I've tried enough. Maybe it's time to give up. But what they don't realize is this. Backhand index pointing right, that moment is not failure. That moment is the setup. High voltage breakthroughs don't happen gradually. Here's something important you need to understand. Backhand index pointing right breakthroughs don't happen slowly. Growth is slow. Progress is quiet. But breakthroughs? Backhand index pointing right, they happen suddenly. After weeks of nothing. After months of doubt. After countless failures. Something clicks. Something shifts. Something changes. Seedling, the bamboo tree effect. There's a story about a bamboo tree. For years, nothing happens above the ground. You water it. You care for it. You wait. And still, nothing. But underground? Backhand index pointing right, the roots are growing. Expanding. Strengthening. Preparing. Then one day, it shoots up rapidly. Growing faster than anything around it. And people think, wow, that happened quickly. But it didn't. Backhand index pointing right, it was building the whole time. Just like you are right now. Fire, you are closer than you feel. Right now. You might feel like you're far away from your goal. Like nothing is changing. Like all your effort is wasted. But what if? Backhand index pointing right, you're just one step away. What if the breakthrough you've been waiting for? Backhand index pointing right is right around the corner? And quitting now? Backhand index pointing right would be the only thing that stops you from reaching it? Broken heart, why it feels hardest right before it happens. There's a reason things feel hardest right before change. Because that's when your patience is tested. Your belief is challenged. Your strength is pushed to its limit. It's like life is asking you. Backhand index pointing right, do you really want this? And most people? They say no. Not with words. Backhand index pointing right, but with their actions. They quit. Brain, your mind can't see what's coming. Part of the struggle is this. You don't know when it will happen. You don't know how it will happen. You don't know if it will happen. And that uncertainty? Backhand index pointing right, it's uncomfortable. But just because you can't see it Backhand index pointing right doesn't mean it's not coming. Rocket momentum is building. Every small action you take. Every time you don't quit. Every time you keep going. Backhand index pointing right, you are building momentum. Even if you don't feel it. Even if you don't see it. It's there. And one day, backhand index pointing right, it will explode into results. High voltage, the power of staying consistent. Consistency is what creates breakthroughs. Not talent. Not luck. Not perfect timing. Backhand index pointing right, consistency. Doing the work. Even when it's boring. Even when it's hard. Even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because that's what builds the foundation. Fire, imagine quitting right before it happens. Think about this. How many people were close, but never made it? How many people were one step away, but gave up? How many people were on the edge of success, but walked away too soon? Don't be one of them. Light bulb, your breakthrough will change everything. When it finally happens, it won't just change your situation. Backhand index pointing right, it will change you. Your confidence. Your belief. Your mindset. Because now you'll know. Backhand index pointing right, I made it through. Backhand index pointing right, I didn't quit. Backhand index pointing right, I was stronger than I thought. Glowing star, closing of part 7. So if you feel like nothing is working, if you feel stuck, if you feel like giving up, remember this. Backhand index pointing right, you might be closer than you think. Backhand index pointing right, this might be the moment before everything changes. Backhand index pointing right, this struggle might be the final test before your breakthrough. So don't stop now. Not here. Not when you've come this far. Because your breakthrough. Backhand index pointing right is on the other side of this struggle. Listen. Because this part. Backhand index pointing right, this part is about you. Not your situation. Not your problems. Not your past. Backhand index pointing right, you. Brain, you're not just building a life, you're building yourself. Most people focus only on results. Money. Success. Achievements. They think. Backhand index pointing right, when I reach that goal, I'll be happy. But they miss something important. Backhand index pointing right, the real goal is not what you get. It's who you become. Seedling, every struggle is shaping you. Right now. Even if you don't realize it. You are changing. Every challenge you face. Every obstacle you overcome. Every moment you refuse to quit. Backhand index pointing right, it's shaping your character. You're becoming more patient, more disciplined, more resilient, more aware. And those qualities? Backhand index pointing right, they are priceless. Broken heart, you're letting go of your old self. Growth requires change. And change requires letting go. You can't become a stronger version of yourself. Backhand index pointing right while holding on to your old mindset. So what happens? Life pushes you. Through struggle. Through pain. Through discomfort. And slowly. Backhand index pointing right, the old version of you starts to fade. Fire, you're becoming someone who can handle more. Think about who you were before your struggles. Now think about who you are today. You've been through things that would have broken you before. But now? Backhand index pointing right, you handle them differently. You think differently. You react differently. Because you've grown. High voltage strength is built quietly. Becoming stronger doesn't always feel powerful. Sometimes it feels like surviving another hard day. Getting through another tough moment. Pushing forward when you feel empty. It's not loud. It's not flashy. But it's real. Backhand index pointing right, and it's happening inside you. Cloud with rain, you're becoming emotionally stronger. Before, certain things would shake you. Certain situations would break you. Certain words would affect you deeply. But now, backhand index pointing right, you're stronger. Not because life is easier. Backhand index pointing right, but because you are. Light bulb, you're learning what really matters. Struggle has a way of clearing things up. It shows you what truly matters. What doesn't. Who's real. Who's not. And that clarity? Backhand index pointing right, it changes your priorities. You stop chasing things that don't matter. And start focusing on what does. Rocket, you're becoming more focused. Distractions start to fade. You become more serious about your life. More intentional with your time. More focused on your goals. Because now you understand. Backhand index pointing right, time is valuable. Backhand index pointing right, energy is limited. Backhand index pointing right, your life matters. Fire, you're becoming unbreakable. This is the most powerful part. After everything you've been through. After all the struggles. After all the pain. Backhand index pointing right, you don't break the same way anymore. Life can still test you. But now? Backhand index pointing right, you stand stronger. You don't fall apart. Backhand index pointing right, you rise. Flexed biceps, this version of you is different. This version of you is not the same person from before. This version is stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more aware, and most importantly, backhand index pointing right, more prepared. Glowing star, closing of part 8. So understand this. Your struggles are not just about what you're going through. Backhand index pointing right, they're about who you're becoming. Every hard moment. Every painful experience. Every challenge. Backhand index pointing right is shaping you into someone powerful. So don't underestimate this process. Don't rush it. Backhand index pointing right, respect it. Because the person you are becoming. Backhand index pointing right is worth everything you're going through. Listen closely. Because this is where it all comes together. Where the struggle, the pain, the late nights, the tears. Where it all starts to have meaning. New moon, right now, you might not understand. Right now, you might be asking yourself. Backhand index pointing right, why me? Backhand index pointing right, why is this happening? Backhand index pointing right, why does it have to be so hard? And it's natural. Because when you're in the storm, you can't see the sky. You can't see the light. You can't see the path ahead. High voltage, the story isn't finished yet. Every struggle is part of a bigger story. A story that only you are living. And right now, you're in the middle of it. The ending isn't written. But trust this. Backhand index pointing right, the struggles you face today are the lessons you'll teach tomorrow. Light bulb, you'll look back and see the purpose. One day, you'll look back at all of this. The nights you thought you couldn't survive. The failures you thought were the end. The moments you wanted to give up. And suddenly, it will all make sense. Backhand index pointing right, every tear. Backhand index pointing right, every setback. Backhand index pointing right, every struggle. It will be clear why it was necessary. Seedling your pain is your preparation. Everything you've been through isn't punishment. It's preparation. Preparation for the life you're meant to live. Preparation for the version of yourself you're becoming. Preparation for the moment you'll finally break through. And that preparation, backhand index pointing right, will make the success, happiness, and peace you earn even greater. Rocket, your struggles are seeds. Every struggle is like a seed planted in your life. It might feel invisible now. It might feel slow. It might feel pointless. But seeds grow underground before they break the surface. And one day, what feels buried will bloom. What feels hopeless will transform. What feels wasted will produce results beyond what you imagined. Fire, you are stronger than you think. Everything you've survived so far. Everything you've pushed through. Everything you've refused to quit on. Backhand index pointing right has made you stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you realize. And that strength? It will carry you through the next challenge, and the next. And prepare you for a life you once thought impossible. Glowing star, the final truth. So hear this. Your struggles are not a waste. Your failures are not a waste. Your pain is not a waste. Because all of it. Backhand index pointing right is shaping you. Backhand index pointing right is preparing you. Backhand index pointing right is turning you into the person you were always meant to be. And one day, when you finally reach your breakthrough, you'll look back and say, everything I went through was worth it. Flexed biceps, the closing call to action. So stand tall. Keep pushing. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Because your struggles, backhand index pointing right, are not the end. Backhand index pointing right, they are the start. Backhand index pointing right, they are your power. And one day, backhand index pointing right, you'll thank yourself for never giving up. Fire, final words. Your struggles are not breaking you, they are building the person you are meant to become. Keep going.